do you pay income tax in Canada for all the revenue you generate in Canada? Can we get those specifics?
Well, again,
when it comes to investments in Canada, we are still following the old logic of we love foreign direct investment, both inward and outward. But we are also a ripe fruit for pickings by many international companies with limited operations in Canada. Just listen, go back and listen to what you said. Tell me what is that we can get out of what you have just said. He is saying, I have not changed my fees for the last 8 years. Anybody who knows even basics of business, we know how misleading that can be.
To the motion adopted on Thursday, September 19, 2024, the committee is resuming its study on credit card practices and regulations in Canada. And we're pleased today to welcome a slate of witnesses who are in attendance.
And finally, from Stripe, we have Brian Peters, Directors of Public Policy. Thanks for joining us. And
what percentage of your revenue comes from your standard pricing, and what percentage comes from the interchange plus pricing model?
As much as I would love to discuss that, that is sensitive business information, it's commercial information.
Again, you just come and say that, we have maintained the same cost for the last 8 years. Okay, during the last 8 years, what is the volume growth you have seen?
The businesses operating on Stripe have grown significantly, and we're proud to support them and help them increase their sales.
What is the volume in terms of the percentage growth you have seen during the last 8 years?
Significant growth. The businesses on Stripe are doing quite well.
Because you keep saying that, we have kept the same price constant for last 8 years. Suppose I'm charging something last 8 years at 1%. If my volume is growing from 100 million to 500 million to 5 billion, that 1% is pretty good. So, but you're refusing to say, you're saying that, we have got a standard pricing which is good for all your business, whatever the clients, but you're not letting us know what percentage of your revenue comes from that model and how much volume has gone up. And you say that, okay, this, whatever the government announced is a small difference, then why don't you accept the small difference and bring in? If your volumes were constant for the last 8 years, I would agree, I would appreciate that you too have kept your pricing constant for last 8 years. But that is not the case. That's not the case. So I don't understand the rationale. You say that whatever the government has done, it is a small difference. But why don't you pass on that small, what you call small advantage to the businesses?
Because the announcement of the government, the expectation is effectively that we would have to split our customers into two different groups. They have chosen winners and losers, and the expectation is that we would...
Peters, they have not chosen winners, they have chosen small businesses versus the large businesses. They are saying that the roadside convenience store with the average sales volume of less than 300,000 is different from Walmart's. That's what they have chosen. And secondly, you are a global company. You said that your management team, they're all across the world. What is the interchange fee in Australia or European Union?
The specific fee charged by the networks in each region?
Yes. What is the cap imposed by the authorities in European Union or Australia?
Well, both regions have different policies that affect
what is
interchange costs.
If I say that it is 0.5% in European Union, am I closer to the correct number?
The average interchange in Europe is approximate to that.
Now, why is that is so high in Canada? Why it has to be so high in Canada?
I don't think there's anything that suggests that it has to be so high here either.
Yeah, then, when the government makes some small changes, what you call small changes, the government may disagree. Why are you unwilling to pass on that small changes?
Because it is such a small amount that if you ask a small business whether they would prefer to lose a simple, predictable price or take what in many cases would on average be just...
Listen, I too came from business. I understand a standard pricing is an easy thing to understand. To make a small change is also easy. again, you can give it for all across the customer base. Oh, sorry, Mr. Peters, do you pay income tax in Canada for all the revenue you generate in Canada?
I'm not part of our tax team. I would actually like to get you that information if it's okay.
Please
May
get
I
me that
follow up? Thank you.
information.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I think there's a bigger thing involved. The international free trade, as we know, is dead. Globalization is dead. Now is all about friendshoring, nearshoring, emphasis on self-reliance. However, when it comes to investments in Canada, we are still following the old logic of we love foreign direct investment, both inward and outward. But we are also a ripe fruit for pickings by many international companies with limited operations in Canada. Stripe has employed few people. I'm sure some bright engineers are Canada-based, but their decision-making is not Canada-based. I don't know how much tax they're paying on the revenues they're generating in Canada, because obviously Mr. Peters, who has come down from Washington, D.C., can legitimately claim that being a private company, he is not entitled to disclose that information. But he is saying, I have not changed my fees for the last 8 years. Anybody who knows even basics of business, we know how misleading that can be. I can say that my fees has been, say, 1% for last 8 years. Without disclosing, 8 years back, my volume was 100 million. Now it is $1 billion. But you don't have to disclose that. We can just say that is just 1% for last 8 years. And you can say that, whatever the government is proposing is so small that I will not pass on the benefits. Again, not telling us what percentage. They said that there are two ways they charge the clients, business clients, interchange fee plus, and second is the standard pricing. They're not willing to disclose how much is under standard pricing, how much is interchange fee plus a model. Again, we are a private company. We are an international company. We don't even know where our board members are from. I mean, they know, but obviously they can't pinpoint where they're located. So we have got a real problem here. How can Canadian policymakers formulate policies that can help Canadian consumers, Canadian businesses? One, we cannot actually get any relevant, meaningful information from big growing companies like Stripe. Now it has become a big company. I know 8 years back or 10 years back, probably it was still in startup mode, but now it's a big, giant global company. Mr. Peters, I appreciate that you came down from Washington. I really appreciate it. You could have done it by video conference. You came here in person. But what is that you can actually tell us that helps us understand the model better and understand to formulate? I am not in favor, generally speaking, I am not in favor like taking the Australian route and saying that, interchange fee, let's fix it at 0.35%. I believe that is what the Australian fees is, or maybe 0.5%. As the European Union is charging. But what is that you can tell us that can help us understand much better?
Well, we like to compete on the value of our product. And, I mentioned earlier that there are 50 different processors in the market. There are different business models serving different parts of the economy. Our model, yes, it involves executing a transaction, processing a transaction, but there are a lot of other value-added services. So when you look at the way we're helping businesses succeed, it has a lot to do with those additional services that go beyond a very plain vanilla execution of a transaction. And
I'm not disrespectful, but just listen, go back and listen to what you said. tell me what is that we can get out of what you have just said, that we can use it in our policy making process. Nothing. Policy making, most of it is data driven. And if we don't know what the actual information is, how can we change our policies?
We posted on our website very specific, detailed information, which I believe, unlike any other company, is highly specific. We've tried to be very transparent.
Specific. What is your volumes in Canada, and what percentage of your revenue, overall revenue, comes from your standard pricing? Very specific. What percentage comes from the interchange fee plus? Can we get those specifics?
Well, again, my expectation of the hearing was that we would be discussing what these numbers mean for small businesses, our revenue, and the way our business model works as a company to us. I think that doesn't seem to me to matter as much to a small business.
One of the reasons why we want to discuss with you is that you refuse to pass on the changes that the government has brought in.
We did pass them through. We did pass them through.
Yeah.
We did pass through the reduction.
So you have implemented everything the government of Canada is suggesting, and you are not disagreeing with whatever they're saying.
We did pass through the reduction. For our flat rate customers, we're shielding them from what would otherwise be an increase. The government's announcement, the expectation, is effectively to say there are some small businesses and other small businesses, and we're going to treat them differently. And that is inherently in conflict with a flat rate pricing model that treats the whole class of businesses with the same price. So we could split it up, and then if there is another expectation in the future, then we're splitting it up again. And then what about other cost increases? We would be moving from a world where many small businesses, particularly small businesses over larger businesses who value that simple price, would suddenly lose that, and they would be cast into a fluctuating world of interchange plus pricing that is very technically difficult to manage.
If I may, you guys must be profitable in Australia, European Union. I'm sure you're extremely profitable in Canada. Why is that, what if we bring in the same sort of model that European Union or Australia has got in capping the overall interchange fee?
We are successful around the world. We're helping businesses grow around the world despite different regulatory environments. I would be happy to engage with you on what the right way to do it, but I can tell you this announcement, this expectation, it's not workable. I'm very open to that conversation because we do operate around the world and we do figure out how to make it work.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Peters.